Welcome everybody, this is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call. This is the Tuesday call happening every single Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So today is a bit of a challenge, a different day because of the daylight savings. So US moved to the daylight savings on the weekend, and that means that this call is 1 hour earlier than typically for the rest of the world. Europe follows US in 3 weeks, and that's actually the bit of a always mess with the time zones. So most likely that will actually explain we'll have a bit of a less attendance today, but then people are able to catch up with the recording. So that should be good. Now, today we'll go through a typical quick list of the latest updates and on the Microsoft blog, and then we have 3 demos which are coming up, starting from Bob German, then moving to Marc Windle, and then Russia, Ahmed is doing the 3rd demo. Now, hopefully there will not be more technical challenges. It's been a bit of a challenging day for Microsoft Teams today, but we'll get through this. I can at least see Mark on the call, so if nothing else, we'll figure out what happens, and Mark can do the first demo if we don't see Bob around and all of that stuff, but should be good. Cool. So first of all, the Microsoft 365 Power Platform community has a lot of assets for you. I'm not going to go through all of these because we're catching up on the time. But go to the YouTube channel. YouTube channel is one of the key friends what you have to get the recordings and all of the things, and a lot of the videos. Every single day we are releasing new videos over there, which you don't want to miss. LinkedIn is great. Open source sample galleries. AKMS Community Home is the URL where you can all find out the latest what's happening. We are working on an update on that website, which is looking awesome. But let's come back on that one when the website is updated. Now, we have a lot of these community calls. So the Tuesday one is this one where you are. On top of that, we have the monthly community calls for Power Platform and Office Admins, and then the Thursday series, which is typically happening on 7 a.m. Pacific time, except because of, again, interesting daylight saving reasons and historical reasons. This week's Thursday call is 8 a.m. Pacific time, but it will be normal time for European people. So, and this is one of the things and one of the challenges within the daylight savings, as the countries are moving in a different sequence to the summertime, and some countries do not use them. It's okay. Anyway, so let's moving on in there. We always request or looking into people who are volunteering for presenting. So if you're looking into getting exposure and you have cool things what you want to show, or even you find out a cool feature and out of the box capabilities, please sign up and we'll get you scheduled within the call. Now, we have a lot of assets to get started on Microsoft Cloud, the developer program. There has been some changes on availability of that one. There will be updates more later for that one, but right now it's mainly for the Visual Studio subscribers with certain exceptions. So I do apologize on that one. I know that the team is working super lot right now and hard trying to figure out the right option. A lot of also modules available. Now, quick comment on the chat. David is coming back within a few weeks and will be good from that perspective. We'll get back on that Helsinki, LA discussions for sure, which is great. Now, on the Microsoft 365 Power Platform site, we have a lot of podcasts and video shows. Please take advantage of this one as well. So a lot of stuff all available for you. Now, the sample gallery, we have 1,880 or hitting 1,900 samples there. This is the great location to get everything related on Microsoft 365 Power Platform samples from Microsoft and also from communities. So everything from one centralized location, making it super easy to consume. And we also have our Sharing is Caring initiative. We're getting on back to the track on this one as well, as David coming back within a few weeks and Hugo is here. There's Emily and a few others are now working on rescheduling things. We do apologize on the delay on that one as well, but looking that gradually we are getting back on track on getting the Sharing is Caring initiative again moving. And this is for making it easier for you to learn how to get started within the Microsoft 365 or Power Platform. Now, as you then get started on contributing or using or doing things, you are able to then sign up for the recognition. And as you sign up, you will also get a badge from Credly, which you can then share within social media, for example, LinkedIn, as an acknowledgement on what you have contributed. Now, we do have a lot of events coming up this spring and this year. So we'll start with Microsoft 365 conference coming up on April 13th, May 1st and 2nd. A lot of workshops, a lot of cool demos and sessions coming up there with AI, Copilot, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Viva, and so on. We have the European Collaboration Summit also coming with our Summit friends In Wiesbaden, that's in Frankfurt or close to Frankfurt. That's happening in 14th and 16th of May. And then TechCon is happening, the first one in Seattle, June 3rd to 7th. Great options on this side of the pond, now that I'm actually calling in from Redmond this week. So, but Seattle, DC, Dallas in TechCon 365. And then on September 18th to 20, we have the Power Platform Conference in Las Vegas. So great opportunities for catching up other people within the community. And let me jump in here. And community events. So we have communitydays.org. Please check that one out. Always the latest list on all of the community events which are happening all around the world, from Canada, Denmark, Sweden, Germany, and so on. So these are great opportunities to catch up with other people within the community. Good. Quick list on the news. Again, not going to go too much detailed on walking this through. It was pretty silent actually week last week. Probably the biggest thing is the prompt engineering made easier with AI Builder on Power Platform side, and really cool stuff over there, making it easier for people to consume that. Other than that, a lot of let's say event details and summaries and few cool feature demos or capabilities. For example, the articles now available within Viva Engage. Now, let me go in here. Second, there we go. So before we go to the actual stars of the day, let's try to do still group photo with those who are able to join us. So let's see how I can actually make this work. We don't want to miss this one because it's always really fun to do. So let me flip to the together mode. And we're not going to make this super difficult for Teams today, so we're going to use the same normal setup, if possible, that it actually works. It is really having a hard day today, but let's see how this goes. Oh, it's working. Amazing. That's really good. I'm not going to enable my Surface camera. We do have 50 seats in the room today. Super sharp today. So if you enable your camera, maybe I will actually enable my camera and be there as well. Let's see. Did I get there? Did I get there? Not yet. I think we will continue. So let me put the recording on. 3, 2, 1. Let's do some hand waving, everybody. Thank you for joining on the call. We don't want to miss together mode. There we go. Excellent. Thanks everybody for joining once again. There we go. More people. Excellent. We'll grab a GIF animation out of that and share that within the social media. Excellent. Now, let's then go to the actual stars of the day. Now, I do notice that I think we're missing Bob from the call, which is a bit of a surprise related on his demo. That means, Mark, I think we'll need to go with you first, and I'll figure out on what's happening on the other side.
Okay, sounds good. I'll share my screen. Are you all able to see it?
Yep, we got the screen. Awesome. Take it away.
Cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, my name is Marc Windle. I'm a product manager at Microsoft working on SharePoint Embedded. This is a continuation of a series that we've been doing within SharePoint Embedded, kind of introduce some of the tech and capabilities of this new platform. And today we're going to talk about how you can build real-time collaborative apps with Fluid on SharePoint Embedded. So we'll get started there. Now, before we kind of get into the meat of that, I just wanted to give a quick intro to SharePoint Embedded if you haven't come across it yet. SharePoint Embedded is a platform that allows you to build your custom applications on top of and get the capabilities of Microsoft 365 storage. And so really it's a API-only service that kind of brings the power of SharePoint for your custom applications. With that, you get a dedicated content partition in any tenant you install your application on. And because of that, you get a whole bunch of capabilities within security, compliance, content management, AI, and more. Here's a look at some of those capabilities across 4 different areas. So we've looked at this slide before in some of the previous talks that have been given. It goes across content, AI, security, collaboration, and core storage. Today, within the collaboration space, I'm going to show you how you can take advantage of the Fluid framework support and build your own kind of custom Fluid applications on top of SharePoint Embedded. Now, starting there, if you haven't come across Fluid yet, what it is at a high level, it is a framework that lets you build simple real-time collaboration into your custom applications. It is open source, so there's an open source client-side TypeScript library that you can use in your custom app. And you can, what that lets you do is have multiple simultaneous clients all interacting on the same document and using the same state. To do that as well, there's a relay service that is built into SharePoint Embedded, and that coordinates the clients and persists the data. It is as simple as writing to what appears to be a local object, and that automatically gets synchronized across all of your simultaneous clients, and that data gets saved also into SharePoint Embedded when you use it with SharePoint Embedded. So it's really cool technology, and it actually is powering a whole bunch of first-party applications that we have at Microsoft, including Microsoft Loop, Power Platform, Whiteboard, and many more. In terms of SharePoint Embedded and Fluid working together, if you want to learn a little bit more about that or what I'm showing you today, you can go to aka.ms/spe-fluid. All right. Now, this is really just a primer on what you can do when you build a Fluid app on top of SharePoint Embedded. We already have that today. Microsoft Loop is a Fluid-based application built on top of SharePoint Embedded. So it's already live, and if you've come across it, it's a pretty cool application. In terms of like information architecture, the way to think about it is that when you create a Loop workspace, so here in this picture on the left-hand side, we're looking at the kind of auto-generated getting started workspace that Loop stamps out for you. That is actually a container within SharePoint Embedded. And then when you create a page within there, so we've got a few pages here like welcome, check the basics, and so on. Each page is actually a Fluid file within there. And then the constructs for permission management within SharePoint Embedded that I've covered in one of the previous talks here, those are actually using kind of the Loop is taking advantage of some of those contracts as well. So when you're looking at the permissions on a workspace, that is really taking advantage of the container permissioning roles that are built into SharePoint Embedded. And then when you're giving individual permissions to pages within Loop, again, those are using file level additive permissions that you can take advantage of with SharePoint Embedded. So pretty cool. It's mature technology. It can handle any kind of scale you want to throw at it. Now we've had it with this first party Loop application. You are able to now go build your own custom Fluid apps on top of SharePoint Embedded today. So I'm super excited to be able to share that. Let's get right into some demos. If you want to learn more, like I said, go to ak.ms/spe-fluid, and there's a few other links in there that I've got of some of the stuff that I'm going to show. But I'm going to click on actually that spe-fluid link and just show you this new article that is published. It's actually just published yesterday. Gives you a little bit of background on what this is, kind of some of the stuff that I just talked about, and then it goes into a quick start. And so that's what I want to show you today is just how you can get started, build a sample application and get that running on your local machine so you can have Fluid working on top of SharePoint Embedded and how that works and what it looks like. So the quick start is going to take you through some steps. I'm not going to go line by line on this, but the short story here is you go to the sample apps directory, clone the sample apps, like git clone. And I did that in Visual Studio Code already, and I'll go to that, and then you kind of follow the instructions here. And so I'm going to go into Visual Studio Code, and looks like there we go. All right, so I've opened up Visual Studio Code on my local machine, and in order to kind of get started with Fluid Framework on SharePoint Embedded or just SharePoint Embedded in general, you have to, create a container type and set up an application and stuff. We actually have a Visual Studio Code extension that streamlines that and helps you get started creating a free container type. So it's probably the fastest and most easiest way to get started. Download this extension within Visual Studio Code, and then sign in and get going on it. And then once you've done that, you can clone the Fluid Framework samples from GitHub. And once you do that, I've got that cloned here. This item counter -SPE is the new sample application that takes advantage of the SharePoint Embedded relay service. So I'm going to open that up. And after I've got the kind of getting started instructions and set up my container type, all I have to do is create an environment file with a couple of pieces of data in there. I'm not going to open up my actual one, but I'm going to open up the defaults one just to show you what that looks like. It's really straightforward. The SPE client ID, all I do here is put in my Azure Entra or Azure Active Directory client or application ID in here, and then an SPE container type ID. If you don't know what that means, I would recommend, get that Visual Studio Code extension and read some of the SharePoint Embedded documentation, or check out some of my prior talks and you'll understand what that is. Once you have those two things in your app, then you can run npm install. I've already done that. So that's just going to install the local libraries on here. And now I'm just going to run npm run start. And that is going to run my local development server for this particular application. All that really does is serve, a page that does a bunch of JavaScript and has that Fluid Framework library. So here I'm going to grab the URL. It's just running on localhost 8080. Open up a new browser window and visit that link. And it might take a second for that app to get up and running. There it goes. Looks like the app's running. Okay. So once this loads, it's going to open up the Fluid demo. And actually, under the hood, all it's done is it created and it used the Fluid framework to create a new file, a new Fluid file within my SharePoint Embedded storage container. And you can see that updated kind of the slug of the URL here. So there's this references the particular Fluid file that I'm working on. And here, the data model, like I mentioned, when you use the Fluid framework and on top of SharePoint Embedded, what you really get is this an abstraction that lets you interact with your own object model that gets automatically distributed to many simultaneous clients and saved to the service. So in the data model that we're looking at here, all I have is a distributed array. It's very simple. So I can insert items to that array and remove items from that array. Really simple. But the cool thing is that I can grab this link, I'll copy it, and I can open up a new browser window. This time I'm going to open up in a different browser profile, signed in as a different user, and I'll paste that and sign in here. On the original one, I'm signed in as admin. I'm going to sign in as Megan Bowen on this one. And then, yes, we'll stay signed in. Once that loads, you should see that it'll pick up that same Fluid file, and now we're interacting with that exact same distributed state. So both of these clients are interacting with this distributed state as though it's a local object, but the Fluid framework automatically handles all of that synchronization, both to all of the other clients that may be connected to this particular session, as well as saving that state into a file, a Fluid file, within a SharePoint Embedded storage container. The setup of this is really simple. If I go back over to Visual Studio Code, we can take a look at the source code here. It's really pretty straightforward. You can check it out for yourself. I'm not going to cover it all line for line. But when I click on one of those insert or remove buttons, this is really it. It is a string array that extends from the schema factory that's built into the Fluid framework libraries. And I'm just really interacting with an array in here to add or remove elements. That's it. All of the synchronization and stuff is just taken care of for me. So that's a quick tour of how you can take advantage of Fluid framework to build your custom collaboration apps on top of SharePoint Embedded, and all of the collaboration, synchronization, and storage is taken care of for you, as well as all the other benefits that you get by building your custom applications on SharePoint Embedded. So that's it for me. Thanks for the time today, and I'll look at the chat if there's any questions in there.
Hi, I'm Bob German, and when Vesa gets things sorted out, I'm sure he'll come back and we'll do the intro in the middle or something like that. But thanks everybody for coming and for hanging in there with whatever the technical challenges are. So a couple times ago, I did a presentation here in the same esteemed group about the plugin model for Copilot, and I showed a Northwind Copilot plugin, and it went well, and it was kind of popular, but I ran out of time and didn't get to show any of the code or any of the details. So Vesa asked me to come back and kind of do the other half of it. So that's what I'm going to do today. So just a really quick, and then the good news is that there's hands-on labs, and you can build these yourself. You can actually follow the instructions and run this yourself if you have access to Copilot in Microsoft 365. So just a quick reminder of how this works. There are two ways to extend Copilot in Microsoft 365. One is with a graph connector, which actually brings your content into the semantic index so that Copilot can use it. And the other is a plugin, which essentially teaches Copilot in real time how to query your service and bring the responses into Microsoft 365 Copilot. So that's what I'm going to show today. And I thought I would start with sort of the most basic approach to show you all how to get started really quickly. So I'm going to kind of get back into my little time machine here and kind of wind back the wheels of time and show you how I created this thing at the very beginning. So I went into Teams Toolkit and I created a message extension using the bot framework. And that gave me this project right here. And so it actually kind of opens a new copy of Visual Studio Code for you when you do that. So again, I'll point you to the lab at the end, and it has instructions on what to install on your end. I sped this up. Can you tell? This actually takes quite a while to run the first time. And what I get is a test message extension. So very, very simple. It doesn't do a whole lot, but what it does is it looks things up in the Node package manager list. So there's a public web service for that. So they just decided to use that as the boilerplate. And here I typed in Teams FX and I get back the Teams FX React library. So super simple, not a lot going on there. Now you didn't see me write any code, right? I didn't write any code. Now let's see it in Copilot. So I just say search test ME. You have to mention the name of the plugin right now for it to work. And ta-da, there it is. There's it actually did. It reached into the little test message extension and pulled in this data. But if I ask it what is the most popular, it doesn't know, right? Which is better than having it make up an answer, I suppose. But what happened here is that that message extension really had no query for popularity or how many people have downloaded it. All it had in there was the name. And so that's kind of where you start with the default. So what I'd like to do today is kind of walk you through the steps, the changes that I had to make, and I'll also highlight Robbie Williams and Gary Trinder, who helped me out with different parts of this. Robbie did all the adaptive card work. Gary did all the Azure deployment. So just want to share the credit on all of that. So here I am in Copilot for Microsoft 365. And one thing I didn't show in that other demo is this little plugin panel. So you have to turn on, there's an administrative switch to enable plugins in the first place. And then if that's turned on, you'll see this little plugin panel and you can pick the plugin that you want to enable or multiple plugins if you want to. And now if I have to mention the name of the plugin. So I can say something like, please, I'm polite to AI. I don't know about you. Is anybody else bother with that? So please look up chai in Northwind. And this is kind of a favorite query of mine. So I'm not going to get as fancy. Last time, you can go back and watch the recording if you missed it. I did a bunch more interesting prompts. Some of them bring in multiple results, format them in different ways, correlate it with documents in SharePoint. So there's that was sort of like the end user view of it mostly, and then a little bit about the manifest. But just to remind you, here it is again. And yes, I can click take action and I can say, yeah, let's order 50 more of these. And you'll see that the number on order went up, right? So that's kind of what I'm going to dig into here. So as I mentioned, I started with that same kind of out of the box experience from Teams Toolkit. And the next step then was to add to the manifest. So here's the manifest, which is really a template right? So you can see it's going to plug some things in from Teams Toolkit, like the app ID and the environment and things like that. And then we get down here to compose extensions, which is we started with a message extension. Guess what? Somebody decided to rename. It was originally called a compose extension. Now it's called a message extension. So in the manifest, it's still a compose extension. And the original solution just had the, one command. So this is an array of commands. It had one command, and that command was for looking up the NPM package by name. Now you can see that we have a lot more. I have multiple commands, and some of the commands have multiple parameters. So I want to kind of flag, Tom Morgan put out an excellent video, and I'll see if I can find the video, the URL, and post it in the chat later, talking about how important it is. And he talked about a number of good things relating to this topic, but one of the things I really appreciated is his point about how important the descriptions are, because this is how Copilot knows what your plugin does. So not only do we have descriptions on the app, but also on each command and also on the parameters. And sometimes they're quite detailed, like telling it what format to use or what different choices are and that kind of thing. So I added all of that into the solution and also multiple different commands. So there's this inventory search command. There's also discount search and revenue search. So those are the manifest changes. Then what happened is so Teams Toolkit generates this program, this module called searchapp.ts. And this kind of handles the plumbing of it. So you can see here, it's inheriting from something called Teams Activity Handler, which is really a Teams bot framework bot, but it's not really, we're not using it for chat purposes. We're just using it as a secure channel to communicate with. And whenever anybody uses the message extension, whether it's a human or Copilot, it's going to call this function here called Teams Activity Handler. And so what I've done is I took the activity handler that was there that just sort of inline called the NPM endpoint, and I replaced it with this one, which looks at the command ID. These are the command IDs from the manifest. So if I kind of go back to that manifest, oops, sorry about that. If I kind of go back to that manifest and you'll see that each one of these commands has an ID, like discount search, inventory search, right? And then if I go back into searchapp.ts, these are the command IDs that are inside. So I basically decided to break each one of these message extension commands down into its own module. So for instance, product search command, the command ID is inventory search. That matches the one in the manifest, right? And so what's happening here is the switch statement is going to look and say, well, which command did this request come in for? Was the product search, the discounted search, or the revenue search? And based on that, it's going to call one of these three modules. So now here inside of product search, we're going to go ahead and look up the information from that. And remember that this one has 5 different parameters to it. So for debug purposes, there's no way to use more than the first parameter in the message extension UI. So to facilitate debugging, I'm actually going to split this and allow a comma-separated list of parameter values. So if I wanted to, I could type product name, comma, category name, or I could type like comma, comma, low, which is one of the inventory status values, and get all the products that were low on stock. But when they come from Copilot, I have to look at the names of each element. So I'm going to get my query parameters, and I'm going to find the element with the name, product name, category name. Once again, these are matching exactly what was in the manifest file. And then I'm going to go ahead and find the products. So this is calling the Northwind database itself, which is now in Azure Table Storage. thanks to the good work of Gary Trinder. And we get the result list and are going to generate a card for each one of the results. And to do that, I'm going to call this function called getEditCard. So remember that in your mind, because I'm gonna back out of this and go to another path before we go and look at the card handling. Back here in Search App, what if somebody clicks on one of those actions at the bottom of the card? That's the other time that we need to run our application. And this can be a small point of confusion, because this is not actually handled by this is not actually handled by Copilot. So Copilot displayed my card here, right? It displayed the card, but when I edit the card or do something with the card, I'm actually talking directly, the card is talking directly with my application. So when that happens, I'm going to get this adaptive card invoke is going to get called. And it's going to have a verb which corresponds to the buttons on the card. OK is I'm going to update the stock level. Restock is I'm going to order some more. Or cancel is I'm going to cancel my order. And that calls, again, these different functions, these different action handler functions. So now let's take a look at that card handling here. So again, this was just my way of modularizing it. You don't have to break it down this way, but here's the get edit card. So this is where either user using the message extension, or maybe it was the Copilot calling my message extension. I'm going to go in and get an edit card. And you know what? If I have 12 results, or 10 results, or 5 results, I'm going to build 5 adaptive cards. I'm going to build a result for each adaptive card, and Copilot is going to figure out which one or which ones to display. So how does this one work? Well, I've got my edit card. So you saw the cards. Let me kind of go back here. This is the success card. Let me do this again. So please look up tofu in Northwind. So I'll do a different one. And this is going to be the edit card. And then when I actually do the edit, it's going to swap in the success card that has the little green success bar at the top. So that's just kind of how it's working under the covers, right? So this is the edit card. And then when I say I decide to restock and order 10 more units of this, it's actually going to replace the edit card with a success card. They look the same by design. They don't have to look the same, but that's the way we made it. So here's the edit card. And this is an adaptive card, and it's using adaptive card templating, meaning that we're actually going to data bind data from the product, from the database into this card. And that's how all that data shows up, is these little binding expressions. Also notice there's a refresh here. That's because Rabia coded this up to use the universal action model that works for adaptive cards across different surfaces, and the card can refresh if it's say used somewhere else on the same, if the same card appears for more than one user. And then if I kind of go down towards the bottom, you'll see that I have a thing called an action set. So the action set is those buttons at the bottom. And the first one is, remember there's this take action button that shows and hides the other fields, right? So that take action button is here, right? That's the action.show card, which shows a smaller child card or toggles the smaller child card on and off. What's in the small child card? Well, I've got my input of the quantity, and then I've got the 3 buttons for update, restock, and cancel. And remember, that's what was in my switch statement, was these verbs right here. That's what's handling those. So I'm going to post back, basically, when somebody clicks one of those buttons, it's going to post back the value in this text field plus the product ID, which got bound when we generated the card. Why? Because it's not enough to say, please order 10 more units. The code needs to know 10 units of what, right? So that's where the product ID has to come back in. So now if I go back to my card handler, the first thing it's doing is it's reading in the edit card, and it's going to bind it with all this data from the database. And that's what this template.expand is doing. Then it's going to return the adaptive card, which gets returned to the query, and along with maybe a bunch of adaptive cards if I had multiple results. Now let's suppose I went to update the stock. So this is going to call handle Teams card action update stock because the invoke activity came in to my application down in searchapp.ts. And so I'm going to log that. And here on line 43, I'm actually getting the data. So this is going to get me back the text field, and it's also going to get me the which button was pushed and the product ID. So here is, I need to make sure in order to do this, I need to get the stock value and the product ID. Assuming that I have both of those, I'm going to go ahead and get the product and update the number in stock and update it. So these are just my database commands here that are actually, this is real. It's not production quality code, but it's actually updating the database. And then it creates the success card. And this is almost the same code as for the edit card. The only difference is that I'm going to go ahead and update the number on order based on the fact that the user just updated the number on order. And then here's that message at the top, stock was updated, right? And I return that. And that's basically it. That's how the whole solution works. And I'm hoping that this is helpful in getting people started. Let me go in and just say, to find the code. Oh, I can't send messages today. So I will just tell you, or I'll just put it here on the screen somehow, because again, maybe this is what Vesa was trying to fix. I'm not sure. But if you go to https://ignite23-lab, that URL is, without the little stars obscuring it, that URL will bring you to the actual hands-on labs where you can find the code, the source code, and it will lead you through the process of, let me just make sure this is the right URL, and it will actually bring you through the process of building and testing the application. So yep, here it is, and everything is right there. So I think that's what I had prepared for today.
I'll try my level best to actually go through my introduction through my portfolio. It's actually, you can search me like Ahmed Raja speaks, and I believe like my all social handles will come. So we'll actually try to go through who am I actually. So my name is actually Raja Ahmed, and I hail from Pakistan. Now I work at the mighty Microsoft here in Pakistan as Azure and Modern Workplace Solution Specialist. Prior to that, for approximately a year, I worked at IBM as a cloud developer consultant. And yeah, that's just a simple journey. I would say rather a short journey. Like I pursued my bachelor's in computer engineering from UET Peshawar, which is actually a tier 1 university here in Pakistan from 2018 to 2022. One of the things which I really wanted to actually showcase here is actually the volunteer experiences. Like I've always been an avid community evangelist, and I was actually the country lead of Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. It's one of the I would say like phenomenal program that has actually really helped us actually bridge the gap between academia and industry. I have always been like very much connected with all of these communities during my undergrad and during my university days. So I've been actually connected with this amazing program known as GitHub Campus Expert. I was actually the chair of ACM, and so just wanted to let you know, like, I have been through this culture, and I have been an avid community evangelist for all the things. And yeah, for the Free Code Camp, I actually initiated this thing for Urdu translation of their curriculum as well. So just wanted to actually give a throwback to this, that like Vesa just connected with me last week regarding this whole community, and I got to know that one of the best, I would say, like professional communities are out there, and I'll try my level best to actually appear back to back on these calls to get and have a familiarity with the people around us. So yeah, that was a bit of my introduction. You can actually access my I believe like it's not well as well. Like the domain is soon gonna expire, but yeah, that was about my introduction. So in today's actually sort of demo, I have actually prepared an application, a custom healthcare application, which runs in your Teams application, as well as actually I have an implementation in Android and for iOS as well. So let me actually go through one by one each tab. So I'll be like better able to elaborate you folks on how like you people can be able to actually get the things. So actually I've been through a sort of like issue in synchronizing my account with the my M365 account, and it was actually not like I was able to do that. So actually I have a sort of little demo where I can actually elaborate how actually I got to develop this application. Actually, I participated in this Microsoft Teams hackathon. That time, actually, I was at IBM, and I've always been actually fond of React applications, as well as my love for React and for Microsoft Teams is always like, so out of love, I made this application for this hackathon. So I'll try to actually go through like this video. It will help you actually get a strong gist of what exactly this application is. And yeah, let me actually go through this video. I hope my the video sound will come to you folks. Okay. Esteemed authorities at the Microsoft Teams Global Hack, I hope you all are doing great. And so this is okay. So as actually discussed, like I prepared this for like the Teams Global Hack, which actually happened back in like June 2023. So the main crux I just wanted to have here is I believe let's actually dive deep into this video, and I hope my like videos like the machine sound is audible to all of you. Your mobile application, so yes, they are seamless with you. So out of love for Teams apps, here is my submission for the hackathon. So I have built this amazing app called as Heal 360. So in the manifest file, as it says, actually Teams is you can say is a one-stop shop for all of your collaborative work, or maybe your collaborative work experiences, or like collaborative work hub. But as far as humans are concerned, like health is a primary part of our daily lives as well. So the main crux of this application is It aims to provide a seamless experience for all of your healthcare needs. It is targeted to small and medium-sized businesses, as well as be it a minor ache in your chest while working hours, or if you don't have the time for regular checkups due to your hectic schedules. So Heal 360 is here to help you, just like you hit up in your Teams window without like. So I'll be elaborating more on this as I do have the code as well. So I'll be delving deeper as well. But as of now, just to give you a gist of what exactly the application is all about. Yeah. Which action part comes in. So as actually as a recap, I'll actually be telling you folks what exactly the Teams toolkit is and how important it is to actually it has really made building applications for Teams rapid and simple as well. Sort of it. So it's like very handy sort of library, say it like hosted on Azure, and it's like. I'll be delving more into Azure HealthBot and this like vanilla JavaScript based web chat application as well. I do have the code, so I'll be just ramping up through video. Uninstall this deployment. I'll be letting you know that how you can actually deploy it and how you can actually run it as well. But as of now, just going through it. So let's get started with the action part. Let's go to this. Actually, right now, let's uninstall this. Set and a beautiful icon, the author, and like app features and some of the prior permission. Actually, about tab, I've mentioned like the website. Okay, so in a nutshell, I just wanted to elaborate that it's a healthcare sort of application, which is backed by Azure HealthBot, and you can actually get some of the suggestions based on your symptoms. So I'll be going to just give me a minute. So I'll provide you a more deeper back through of this thing. Okay, so as of now, actually, I was unable to there's an issue with actually signing in with my M365 account maybe, and so first things first, you will be getting this Teams toolkit from you go and type in the extensions bar and you have this Teams toolkit. So it's actually back then it was never that much easy to develop applications for Teams, but just because of Teams toolkit, it had become like a very sort of like a handy thing even for beginner level people to actually turn their ideas into successful MVPs, I would say. So I was having like an issue with this. So you just have to actually sign in with your M365 account, or there's a very generous program by Microsoft, which is actually the M365. Just give me a minute. Okay, so the program is we call it as actually M365 developer program. So actually it gives you the access of E5 subscription, and apart from it, actually you'll be getting some of the sandboxes in order to actually develop applications for Microsoft 365. So you can easily go and check out what exactly is Microsoft 365 developer program. After that, as I've actually touched Teams toolkit, so you can also actually go on Learn and have an overview what exactly is Teams toolkit. So as I've actually elaborated on it, it makes simple to get started with app development for Microsoft Teams using Visual Studio Code. So it's right there built as an extension. I would say one step above an extension, and it's right there in your VS Code. You can actually turn it and you can actually do various things out of it. These are some of the features, like it gives you project templates. There are actually multiple environments. I'm going to elaborate on the project templates. Just give me a minute. Okay. So whenever actually we go, here it is like you go and you can have like you create a new application. You can actually build a bot out of it. A tab is just a simple sort of your a window in the Teams. It can be anything, like embed your own web content. So in this scenario, actually, I haven't created a bot itself from Teams toolkit, but rather I have actually gone through a very simple approach. Like I created Azure Health Bot separately, that is actually hosted on GitHub Pages, and then actually I fetched that URL right there into the Teams tab. Like that's a very simple tab in which like you can embed your own web content. So in my case, actually, I have embedded my GitHub Pages site, which is like very simple. I'll soon be elaborating more on that as well. Again, you can actually a sort of like an alert message or message extension and Outlook add-in. Well, I haven't worked on this thing, and it seems to be very promising. I believe like seniors like Bob and others have worked on it. And yeah, being on these calls, actually, you get yourself immersed into these applications, which is very good, I would say. The best part of connecting on these calls. So like you can go through the Teams toolkit. I've just given you an overview. Actually, I've been like opened all of these tabs just to give you an overview because I haven't actually a complete slide deck actually due to some of the Ramadan timings. Okay. So another thing which I won't be like able to elaborate in a complete fashion as of now, because like that's a sort of very different topic. But in the recent Microsoft build, it was announced like another library for Teams, which is Teams AI library, and it's actually an interface where you can actually like connect your bots or your conversational models with the power of Azure OpenAI and all the available LLMs. So it's a very fantastic thing. I would actually suggest you all to actually explore this as well. Like it can be anything. Like maybe you can actually brainstorm ideas with your team on Teams. Like all of those simple things which we actually do rather on paper or any things. We can actually create some of the applications like this, which then actually sits in our Teams application, and we can do actually like can be a productivity hack and so, things like that. So that was about Teams AI library. Now I'll be delving more into as I've told you earlier, like regarding this Teams toolkit. Actually, you just sign in with your M365 subscription as well as your Azure, and then actually you try to if you actually want to build or develop an application for Teams, you just right away like host that application. Like you test it locally, and then when you want to actually deploy, it gets deployed to an instance on Azure, and then actually from Azure, it fetches that application right into your M365 environment and into your Teams as well. So this was the main part of this, but again, I'm just like more oriented towards this manifest file. As of now, you see, like I just have like added some description, and this is like the simple link, which was just of my Azure Health Bot, which I'm hosting this on my simple on GitHub Pages. So you see like the like it has initiated. And for now, actually, it shows a sort of disclaimer that, medical data is of very high in like sort of credibility, and like then it counsels the user that, hey, how can we can get things done. For now, let me actually start a sort of chat with this. And it's actually backed with the all the research which has been done on the medical vertical of Azure. So I am just actually accepting the terms of service and privacy policy, as it's very common nowadays about healthcare applications. So I'm going to give it a command. I'm having a chest pain.
The following symptoms have been read.
Okay, so now it says like most of the people, if you folks have actually have got an experience of like using Azure Health Bots, I believe like you have got a gist of idea that how things can do and work. So I'm just going to stop it right here. For those who don't know how to create an Azure Health Bot and all this thing, so it's a service built out in Azure. You just go here. For now, actually, for the sake of this thing, I've created an instance of Azure Health Bot. When you go there, I believe like it gives you the address to the management portal, and when you go and click on this, and it do have different plans like F0, S1, which is standard, and some of the intricacies as well. And it keeps on updating because of like with the advent of Azure OpenAI, all of the other like cognitive services have really become very robust in their operations. So I believe like the same for Azure Health Bot. So again, it's not a dedicated video or like a dedicated meeting for Azure Health Bot. We'll actually maybe cover it sometime later. But for now, this thing, which is actually secret and keys, this is very important because it actually it gets connected with our next part, which I'm actually going to show you right away. I'm just going to actually okay, so this is actually our Azure AI Health Bot. And just from a beginner's perspective, I'm going to elaborate that it's a very simple vanilla JavaScript application. And the main thing here is uh, like like for the sake of simplicity, in this example, we are directly fetching like the direct line token of Azure Health Bot. Well, it's recommended that we use actually like create a backend REST API and then actually generate and manage tokens. But anyhow, for the sake of this demo, I've actually used a very beginner friendly route. So this is actually your web chat secret, and you can get it from here. Here it is, your chat secret and web chat secret. I'm going to show it for just as an instance. I'll be going to actually destroy all those instances as of now. So this is how you can actually get your Azure Health Bot up and running. I hope Azure Health Bot is clear to all of you. This is like the documentation and some of the success stories that how customers are using Azure Health Bot. So this is actually open source from my end. You folks can actually get this very simple implementation of like web chat app. It's a vanilla JavaScript application, and anyone can actually use it. Then this was actually the main tutorial which we did today. And yeah, for the one final thing I do have is actually the mobile implementation as well. So let me actually show you in the last couple of minutes about the mobile version of how these things can work in a mobile environment. So let me actually get back to Okay. Okay, so I hope like my screen is visible, and when we go actually to where it is, so yeah, it's actually again the Health 360 application. It's actually a React Native based application, again a JavaScript family. Here actually I have some of the other features as well built into like based on Azure custom vision. Like this retinal hub is very important. Like let's see, for the diabetes we can actually turn on the camera, and you see like it's very close to my uh, like my eyes, and it can actually let me know. Again, it's a very in a beginner phases. I hope let me, but just wanted to let you know that this is how these models can actually like work offline as well. Like there are various React Native libraries where you can actually get them, and I believe like I'm okay. So one step back. So here it is like healthcare assistance. It actually gets as it was like there in the web fashion. Now it's here in the uh, in the mobile environment. So I hope it was like good conveying these some of the very simple things which I've conveyed to you. And moving forward, yeah, I'll try my level best to come up with more complex and intricate things, which are indeed the state of the art, as actually Bob and some of the other seniors used to actually elaborate. So yeah, that's it from my end.
Thank you, Mark. On the demos on this side, hopefully Bob and Rasha were able to do great demos on the other instance. We had this bit of a strange technical instance challenge today. Now, next week, we have Waldek, Paolo, and Eric with demos on the 19th of March. So Waldek's going to talk about Microsoft 365, extending the Copilot for Microsoft 365. Paolo's going to talk about creating a Copilot plugin for Microsoft Lists with Copilot Studio. So that's for Microsoft Lists and for SharePoint Lists, of course, and using the Copilot Studio. So kind of a low-code, no-code option for creating those Copilot plugins, which is really, really cool. And then Eric is here to talking about building personalized content ACE for Viva Connection based on user profile attributes. So how would you use the user profile attributes to filter and show the relevant content for the end user? That invite still the same, the links are still the same. Hopefully things will work properly next week without these technical challenges what we were having today. I do apologize from that, but technology is happening every now and then. Please use our Discord server at AKMS Community Discord. We have actually more than 1,800 members already there. It's growing rapidly, almost 100 members every single week, which is really, really cool. People helping each other, helping others within the community over there. This is not intended to compete with any of the other forums. We just thought about testing on, hey, people are using Discord a lot. Is this a channel where people want to also help others within a community? And the answer apparently is that yes, it is. So people are willing to do that. Please provide us feedback. Now, this call was a bit of a challenge, but I would say let's focus on positive topics on the feedback as well. We're trying to figure out what happened. Hopefully, this will never happen again. It's been a few years since we last time had so-called Skype NADOs. That was with Skype for Business. But this is the first time I'm seeing at this level of a confusion and technical issue within the teams. That's a technical challenge. Hopefully the community itself is still providing you a lot of value. And the next call, the recording will be available within 24 hours. I will figure out how do we stitch the recordings together. We're looking into having two of them clearly because of the technical issue what we have today. Again, the next call is in March 19th at 8 a.m. Pacific time, so normal Pacific time, 8 a.m. All of the calls at AKMS community calls. And I do apologize for technical challenges which we had today.